from advertising to analytics and adding location. So we have a great panel tonight to talk about that. Again, if some of you folks don't know me, my name is Mario Tapia. I work at Yahoo on the mobile team, and been doing this event once a month for the past 10 plus years. So we've been doing it in different cities. Just wanted a quick question. Who's here? Who's the first night tonight? Who's here for the first time? Wow, a lot of first timers. Great. So we can be found on the web at mobilemonday.us, and we put up our events there. I just added a tab for the calendar, so you can kind of see the calendar for the rest of the year. Also, for you guys, how many got this announcement through a friend? So, and you guys want to know how do I get on the list, etc. So if you go to our website, mobilemonday.us, there's also join, and there's a Yahoo group that you can sign up to, and we won't spam you, and it's essentially just community, and mostly it's announcements about upcoming events or related mobile events in the Valley. So please check that out. Before we start tonight, I have a couple of highly scientific questions, field questions here. So who here currently or plans to use mobile advertising in their product? Currently or plans to use? All right. Who here currently or plans to use location in their product? Wow. Location. So who here currently or plans to use analytics of their application? Okay. So, cool. All right, so here's another litmus test. So who here currently or plans to develop on an iPhone? Okay, pretty much the whole room. iPad. Wow. Okay, Android. RIM, BlackBerry. Okay, look at this hand. Yay! All right. Okay, and last time I forgot Palm, but so any Palm folks in the house? Yeah. See, all right. See, it is the dark horse here. Palm. All right, guys. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our moderator. It's Jonathan Ebinger. He's a partner at Blue Run Ventures. So that means lots of money.
Great, thanks Mario, and we should give Mario a round of applause. 10 years doing this. Well, why don't we have the panelists come on up? We won't make this too overdrawn. Your questions were leading, and I'm glad we got a lot of hands going up, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're talking about location, we're talking about payments, we're talking about analytics, talking about CRM, tools to help make your mobile application more effective. So what I'll do is I'll give just a minute on my firm. I'll have each of these gentlemen introduce their firms. I'll ask a few questions, and then I'll open it up to the audience, and we'll go as long as Mario lets us go. So Blue Run Ventures, an early stage venture fund. We generally do Series A types investments, anywhere between $500,000 to a few $1 million. Probably half of our investments are in the mobile space, and so we look at a wide range of things, infrastructure, software, international. There's not much we haven't seen or will look at, so happy to talk to you. We also have other guys here tonight from Blue Run. Pete Buell and Jay Jamison is here as well, I think. Somewhere right next to each other. Hey, you got Location Labs there, working him hard. Okay, so that's me. So let's do some introductions. John, you want to start?
Sure, I'm John Forese. I'm with Motally. So what does Motally do? We do tracking and analytics for developers who build mobile applications. Why should you care? By understanding the users, the metrics, characterizing your user base, you can help monetize your app better. So if you understand the devices that users are coming from, if you understand the geographies, and you understand the engagement levels, that helps you improve the product, figure out where you want to serve the advertising, where are the better click-through rates, what parts of the app might someone be bouncing out of very quickly, and where would there be deeper engagement levels. And how to find out more or sign up for the service. So if you go to Motally.com, we have a community offering that is free. You just sign up, you can download the tracking code, and it's a lightweight implementation, lightweight footprint, and you can be up and tracking very quickly. And there's some people walking around with bright Motally t-shirts. So if you want to find out more, find me or find them. They're in the back corner. So that's Motally.
Thanks, John. Scott?
Hey everybody, my name is Scott Kveton. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Urban Airship. Urban Airship tries to solve two big problems that mobile publishers are seeing today. One is after they've installed the app, keeping that user engaged, getting them to come back time and again in a non-annoying way with our push notification service for publishers. The other one is it's great to have them engaged in using the app, but how do you get them to monetize over time? So we have a solution called Storefront that helps them monetize or deliver content over time and get more out of that user and take mobile from just installing an app to creating a channel to reach your users. We have a bunch of different price plans focused on individual developers all the way up to the enterprise, a whole bunch of customers, and have sent 500 million notifications to about 30 million different devices in the last year. It's a pretty interesting solution, and feel free to come find me afterwards if you want to chat more.
Thanks, Scott. Joel?
Hey, I'm Joel Grossman from Wavemarket, and you may have seen on TechCrunch or VentureBeat today, Wavemarket officially became Location Labs. The reason we changed our name to Location Labs is because for quite some time now, we've been building tools to help developers incorporate location into their applications and services, to really embrace location and do interesting things with them. And so I actually, in the spirit of making life easier for developers of location-based applications, I do come bearing gifts. The first gift is a new name, Location Labs. That's going to make it easier for you to remember us when you leave tonight and you think, I have this location feature that I want to put into my app. It's going to be complicated unless I use, what was that company's name? Location Labs. So that's my first gift. The second gift is actually, there are a dozen of us, or half a dozen of us around. Can everybody from Location Labs just sort of raise their hand for a second? We have with us a select number, a small number of a beta version of our SDK for geofencing on the iPhone. Geofencing is this concept, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, which allows your app to be notified whenever a user enters or leaves a certain area. Really, there's some really powerful scenarios here. I want to know when little Billy leaves school, or when my user walks by a place where there's a coupon, some really compelling scenarios. And that SDK is now available in limited release, some folks here on the iPhone. We also have it on Android and BlackBerry as well, so we're an equal opportunity toolkit. And then the last gift I bring is a web-based tool, which is what we call the Universal Location API. If you have an SMS, an IVR, a web-based application, and you want to locate over 180 million phones with a single web services API, you can do that. Just to put some context, Google recently got a lot of press for exposing their Latitude users' location, all 3 million of them, to the web service API. If you want to locate 60 times more users than Google Latitude, you can use our API for that. So that's how you incorporate location into your application.
Thank you for those two gifts. Jim?
So beware of techies brand gifts. So my name is Jim Greenwall. I'm the CEO of Build Mobile, a Danal company. We're simply put the best mobile payments option out there. So if you think of shopping online as an e-commerce play, you go to checkout, and as a payment option, specifically on the first phase for digital goods, but we'd like to, the goal is to expand overall. As you check out, instead of hitting Visa or MasterCard, you hit Build a Mobile. You insert your telephone number, get a passcode texted to you within 2 to 3 seconds, input that security code on the screen, transaction's done, and your mobile bill gets charged. At the end of the month, you can reconcile with a mobile company. So what we're doing is leveraging what the wireless carrier does very, very well, and that is the back office OSS PSS billing. Everybody gets their mobile bill on time every month, and it's fairly accurate, questionably fairly accurate, but that's what we're leveraging, and we've deployed now with Verizon Wireless. We've been up several weeks. And we're in the process of integrating with 2 other big carriers, and hopefully we'll be complete by the end of the year with those 2 and have roughly 75% of the US market covered.
Great. Thanks, Jim. So let me ask a few specific questions of you individually, and then we'll have some more general questions. So Scott, With regard to, yeah, hey, we're running behind. With regard to notifications, how do you differentiate useful notifications, say like a news flash from AP versus more of an annoyance, like someone beat my high score on Doodle Jump? I mean, how do you sort of gradate that?
Well, interestingly, the users kind of take care of that for you. If you behave badly, people turn off notifications. But if you're a sports fanatic and you want to get fantasy updates, there's no such thing as too many notifications. We'll see, literally hundreds of notifications to devices for folks who are doing sports updates, news updates, things like that. The other piece is just the idea of being able to sort of drive users in. Maybe it's a game and you want to actually issue a challenge. It appears to be peer-to-peer messaging, but it's actually going through our infrastructure to do that. That actually drives quite a bit of usage, which is interesting. The other one is the ability to notify users when they have either content available, which is always interesting. If I paid for some kind of content and it's now available, I want to know when that's going to happen. So I think there's quite a few use cases for it, and it's sort of a self-governing. We really haven't had any issues. And the worst case that we have with one of our bigger customers who sends a lot of messages, they've only seen about a 9% opt-out rate.
Okay, so the data sounds like it stays within the environment of the developer. So Joel, to you then, with regard to privacy and data, that's obviously been a real flashpoint in the media lately, Latitude, aside, Facebook and so forth. How do you deal with, you have such a huge amount of data, where do you set the bar for privacy concerns in terms of sharing data and so forth?
Yeah, there are some simple guidelines there. The one we always live by is to be transparent with your users. And so our universal location API, for example, which can locate over 100 million phones, requires that the user grant permission to share their location with your application before we do that. And so, the user making a conscious decision to opt in, we get that data, we then share it with the developer, and the user can always go back and audit who we've shared their location with at any time. Additionally, we don't store the data in a person-identifiable way for any long period of time. We do keep a small history, which the user can adjust, and also can clear out of our system just like they clear out cookies out of a browser. So we're completely transparent with how the location data is accessed and shared, and that's really been the benefit of both our users as well as our developer customers.
Thanks. So John, I know you also, being an analytics company, you trade in information about the user. Do you want to speak a little bit about that as well in terms of where you draw the line?
Yeah, so it's very similar in terms of not collecting anything that's personally identifiable, having the users as part of the application download understand what's being used around that, and then presenting the data in a way that's aggregated and anonymized through it all. So one of the ways you can do that is by segmenting people. So segment your power users from your light users, and then go deep in terms of understanding the different flows through the application, the bounce rates, but do it by those groupings.
Thanks. So changing gears, Jim, I know you do work with Verizon, and obviously you have a close relationship with the carriers. How would you really characterize I guess it's sometimes more maligned intentions that are thrust upon carriers and carrier billing? It's very expensive, unwieldy, and so forth. You clearly made a business out of it. Can you give us sort of more of the positive side of carrier billing, and what other alternatives are out there that may offset some of the perceived negatives?
Sure. So from a macro level, I grew up on the wireless carrier side. I'm happy to show the scars if anybody wants to see them to prove that. But there's definitely been a shift, I think, within the carrier space. Over the last couple of years, I think they've had some brutal lessons that they've learned in the marketplace, specifically from Apple and other competitors in certain areas. So the carriers have been humbled slightly. They now want to, instead of being the large vendor that beats up on some of their contractors, if you will, they now want to partner. They now want to foster a developer community. I think Verizon Wireless just 6 months ago had a developers community conference down here in San Jose, and they really want to be seen as a partner now. All the carriers really do, because they understand the power of harnessing bright, independent minds that perhaps have a neutral, objective outlook on things. So you're starting to see that on a macro level. They really want to foster that. They realize that they can't just have vendors come in, show solutions, and then take those solutions and apply it themselves. They have a large IT group within each carrier, and so they want to keep them utilized, but yet it's largely historically been at the expense of the independent developer, if you will. What I have seen is they're much more apt, much more willing now to work collaboratively with developers, and I think the high rates that you mentioned, Jonathan, are more from the what used to be on the on-deck model. So you see a lot of PSMS aggregators, there's roughly 13 of them. You think of the M-Blocks of the world, if you think of what used to be Mobile 365, now Sybase, etc., single point. They had very high fees that were for on-deck type of digital goods, ringtones, etc. I think the carriers would charge them 35%, and in turn, they would charge the merchants an additional 10%. So you're talking about 40 to 50% in some cases fees. Our solution basically comes in and says, hey, that's for on deck, perhaps you can get away with that, but if you really want to be a good partner, let us integrate directly with you and offer much lower rates. So if you think of a strata in terms of payments, I think the credit card rates are probably the lowest for merchants, anywhere from 2 to 4% on up, and probably some fixed fees associated with it. Then we're probably next. We're probably somewhere between the mid-teens to, in some cases, we could probably go single digits, but we're not working in that area right now. Then you have the prepaid cards that probably fall slightly above that. And then the old PSMS model, the old on-deck, 35, 40%. So they're starting to see that being cooperative will be pretty helpful.
So there are some choices out there, it sounds like, too. Okay, let me just change gears here. Let's talk about monetization. I mean, a lot of, obviously, we're not all altruistic like Mario is here. We're here to build applications and build businesses that make money. So why don't each of you give me just, or the audience, just a point or two about why using your specific functionality as part of this toolkit is good for business and for monetization specifically.
Sure. So I'll go first. The analytics really goes hand in hand with the mobile advertising in that you want to understand where is a person spending time within the application and how to retain and engage them as long as possible. So if you're using the analytics correctly, it's like a giant focus group for your product. You can optimize the product and the flows of the product, and you can serve up more ads. The other place it ties in is taking a free application and upgrading and figuring out when is the right time to serve house ads. Is it the first couple days when someone's using the app? Is it after about 30 days? Do you look at the usage patterns, and then you can upgrade someone to another free app or from the free to the premium version? So I'd say those are probably the two main ones.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing that's really interesting is the concept of in-app purchase. And today that's only available on the iPhone. There's a couple hacks for other platforms, and the solutions will come. But the idea of if I can get the app on the device, even if I have to give it away, if I can then bundle content over time and then continually get that user back into the application, that's going to be a lot more lucrative than just hoping that I'm going to make a bunch of money on the initial app purchase. The initial app purchase is not where it's at, and more importantly, the use curve for, if you've ever seen the old pinch flurry graphs on this stuff, it's sort of, lots of usage in the first couple of days and then it trails off. So how do you keep users engaged and coming back? The other piece of that is the concept of being able to do subscription, the idea of paying for a certain amount of time of content and then being notified when that's available. That's another really, really interesting model that I think we're going to see a lot more.
Do you have some examples of that you can share?
No, I can't share them yet, but keep an eye out on our site in the next couple of days. So the idea of having subscriptions and the ability to traditional publishers to be able to go to these platforms like the iPad and whatever the Android tablet's going to be. It's very, very interesting, and our customers that are using our solutions are making a lot of money. I mean, in the last 8 months since we've launched, they've made several $1 million on money beyond what they would have made just from the initial app purchase. So
great, thanks. Joel?
Yeah, I look at this in a couple different ways actually. One of them is just sort of to state an obvious statement is that I think engagement equals monetization, and one of the tools you can use for in the geofencing library is to have your application woken up when a user enters or leaves a specific area. So the scenario we've all read about, for example, is the advertising scenario where a user signs up for alerts whenever they're near a place where there's a coupon. That's something that's very complicated to actually implement on the location side, although a location and geofence library like this one makes it very easy. That's one scenario. Another scenario is just enabling the kinds of tools that you, the kinds of experiences that you can't get today, which actually may even be cost savings more than revenue generating. For example, a roadside assistance application which says, typically when a user calls in and says, hey, my car just broke down, come get me, but they don't know where they are. If you can remotely locate that device, you save a whole lot of money wasting time trying to locate them. So there are scenarios both on the monetization side as well as on the cost savings side. And then my favorite, which I think is a fun one, for anybody who likes gambling in Las Vegas, we're working with a scenario where a sportsbook is going to enable betting by phone, which is a scenario that's illegal today because there's no way to prove where that user is when they're trying to make the bet. So that's why gambling on the internet or gambling by phone is illegal. If you can locate that user, for example, sort of a validation point that they're actually legally in the state of Nevada and they can place that bet, well, there's a whole lot of money there for monetization. So there are really all kinds of scenarios when you're going to bake location features into your application in a way that you may not have thought of.
Makes sense. I'm not sure if this is relevant for you. I mean, I think you make money by billing. Is probably
That's right, yeah. I don't condone gambling.
Good. So.